So, welcome to the NJC YouTube channel, and we are back for another committee conversations. I'm delighted to be joined by Charli Hodson. How are we doing, Charlie?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
All the better for seeing your smiley face, obviously. Delighted to be talking to you today, but let's start off because I just want to find a little bit about you. Tell us about you.
I'm a bit boring, so I'm an ADI. I've just recently become a director of drive up training, which is pretty exciting. So that was good and new and scary. So there's lots of things happening at the minute. I also joined the ADINJC committee recently, which is also really cool and really exciting and really scary at the same time. And I'm really into kind of health and fitness, dog walking. Love my dogs. They're kind of like the thing that I come home to, I guess, other than my husband, obviously. And yeah, just kind of finding time to socialize and do a bit more for myself, I guess, is now the thing. So all very boring things.
Well, I really want to ask you about your dogs, but it's probably not the best thing to talk about. But we are going to be talking about the health aspects today. But before we do, you mentioned then the ADINJC and well, that's exciting and cool and all those things. Why? Why is it exciting and cool?
Oh, because they just do so much good stuff. And I just feel like it's one of those things where you come through the industry as a PDI or an ADI, and it's this big pinnacle of a organization that you see all these almost celebrities running, and you meet them at conferences, but it's kind of just a bit of you either see them talk at the conventions, or it's just a nicety kind of, oh, hi, how you doing? You never actually feel like you're ever going to get to know them properly. So I feel really excited that I'm part of that world now and being able to see a little bit more of what they do, because I don't think I really fully understood it just being a an instructor, whereas they do a lot more than I thought. Especially, obviously I've got to know you a lot better and other people as well, and you just do so much stuff. And I just don't think people realize it. And I used to think that there was a whole army of people behind the scenes. And actually, it's just this really amazing group of, 15 or 20 people running all this really great stuff that's happening. So, yeah,
I
really
I
excited.
felt exactly the same. I assumed it was like a conglomerate, like massive business, and it's not. There's just so many people giving up so much of their time and working really hard. And I do think it goes unnoticed, but I'm gonna maybe put you on the spot a little bit because you said they do a lot of good, a lot of stuff that you like. What do they do? Give me an example of something that you're particularly keen on that the NJC does.
So I'm going to be a little bit biased because it's something that's quite close to me in terms of I've come from a different company where there was quite a lot of people that needed help in terms of contractually or, just help with even things like getting points on the license and what to do next and just having somewhere to turn because I don't know all the answers. So in those situations, I would have people phoning me up in tears and telling me that they couldn't afford things and what they needed to do next and next course of action. And it was really nice to be able to signpost them to an organization that was trusted that could actually help them and give them a bit of a voice. And then I know that you guys don't do it now, but there was a newsletter out up until very recently, where you were getting, real people to give their stories about things. And some of those people that I was speaking to were suddenly in this newsletter, and it was just really nice to see. And I do think that having somebody like the NJC to be able to give people a bit more of a voice and a bit more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a backup, like a safety net, I guess, that other people just can't give them, either from knowledge or experience. I just think that's just something else.
I mean, if I don't mention this, I feel like Dan Hill will tell me off, so I should do. Like the newsletter hasn't gone away, so it's the format has changed. So
Okay.
that's more in this place of blogs on the website now. So it's still there, just maybe in a slightly different format. But I love that example because it's something that I noticed. It's like when you go to the NJC for something, you get inaccuracy. You're getting the correct information, and there's a lot of organizations out there that people will go to, and then the organization comes to us for clarity. And I love that. And I say us, I don't know enough stuff. Like the clever people, they go to the clever people. So yeah, I think that's a great example. Why should people join the NJC?
That's a really good question. And I don't know whether I'll do this answer justice, but I think if you just want a genuinely honest and transparent team to go to, even just to listen to you, there is somebody at the end of the phone, and that's gold to me. The fact that there is somebody that physically picks up a phone and answers a question is completely backwards in the way that the world is going. So I think there's something really genuine about that. And it really useful support that is affordable, because a lot of that support isn't affordable anymore. So if you're joining, like you said before, if you join an organization and they don't have the correct information, but you're paying them a lot of money, you're then probably not going to outsource anything else because you're relying on that. So I do think that the ADINJC is very much worth I think it's £4.50
Mm.
to join, if you're not part of an organisation or a committee, or an association, is it
Yeah,
called?
yeah,
You get slightly discounted, but
yeah.
and their PI and PL insurance, really, really good coverage for very little cost compared to other things on the market. So I've got the coverage for that. Um, so yeah, I think it's a really worthy thing to invest in.
I think you've definitely gave that answer justice. I love that, and it's that community aspect. I think as well. You know, something I've spoke about a lot recently is the idea of community, and I think that the ADINJC really does embody that. Whether it's through, like you said, people answering the phone, whether it's through the representing the NJC at local associations or the regular meetings they do, all this kind of stuff. I think that, yeah, I think that's a great shout. But let's move on to what I really wanted to talk to you about today, because since you've been with the NJC, which is only about 6 months, you made quite a big impact already in the health department. So I'm going to make this quite broad. What are you up to with health and the NJC?
Make me sound like a little sneaky ninja.
Oh, sneaky ninja. I'll take that.
Um, so a lot of things actually up to the convention. There was quite a pressurized time scale, I suppose, to get things done and in place. And we have evolved a little subcommittee for health and well-being. So we've kind of been working around developing things and resources for ADIs and PDIs just to add into their daily routine that isn't just going out there on a treadmill or going for a 100-mile hike all the time. That isn't what health and well-being is. Health and well-being is more, encompasses everything basically. So mind, body. I was going to say soul, but that seemed a little bit deep. But hopefully you understand what I mean. So yeah, so we've been developing some blogs, some videos, and there's some videos already on YouTube. And then this is just going to be an ongoing project throughout the course of hopefully a long time. Can't put a time frame on it, obviously. But we'll just see how it's received, what people want. We're very much into kind of getting feedback off people once things are out there so that we can develop it further and give people a bit more of what they want and need, rather than us trying to, last thing we want to do is dictate to anybody. None of us are, the picture of the picture of health and fitness. But I do think that we are, I can't think of the word. I was going to say sedimentary, but that's not the correct term.
Hereditary?
Yeah, I think so, where you're just kind of sitting all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Industry. And I do think that it's very, very difficult to find the motivation to do something when you've finished all those lessons and you get in for the evening. The last thing you want to do is go out and walk or whatever. The first thing I want to do is sit down and eat. So I do find it quite difficult to have that motivation. But it's also hard to find time in your diary, because I have very quickly realized that as instructors, we're very happy to go, I really want to please you and I really want to do what's right and I really want to, make everybody else happy. So then we start adding more times into our diary that we're going to take learners in, and we forget about ourselves, and that's very easy to do.
But why is this important for instructors? Because you would think that like health would be what we do, but so why are you now doing this for instructors? Why is it important?
I just think it's been a bit forgotten. So everybody has a basic understanding of what, it is to be healthy, but I just think that people need a little bit of support, a little bit of that community that you've just talked about. Being an instructor can be quite lonely if you let it be. Um, and other people feel the same. So I'll use myself as an example because then I can't tell any lies. But I've come from quite a healthy background. So I started off as a gym instructor, personal trainer. Then I went into a sector where it was more residential. So I was taking people who had little ability and taking them in the gym and kind of doing GP referrals and stuff like that. Then I went into retail, so completely different, but I was running around all the time. I was probably doing more steps a day doing that job than I was doing any of my other fitnessy jobs. Um, and then I went into driving instructing, and I don't think it really hit me first because I was still keeping up with my gym routines and I made a conscious effort of, this is in my diary, I'm going to do this, but it very quickly chipped away. And I soon realised that after COVID and being in an office environment and coming back out onto the roads, that I actually need that more for my mental health rather than my physical health. So I just think people need a bit of a reminder, I guess, just to take some time for themselves and do something that they need rather than meeting other people's needs all the time, which is what is programmed into us as instructors.
So one of your comrades, Gary Thomas, wrote a blog recently about sleep. It was a really good blog.
Mm.
And I think that I'm going to raise this because I saw a comment on one of the Facebook posts somewhere where someone had kind of replied to it and said, well, yeah, they'll be telling us the grass is green next and bears do their business in the woods. And I just thought that's exactly why we need that blog post because just because that person knows that doesn't mean everyone else knows that. And I think there's a lot of stuff that people don't realize. And I think a lot of the time it gets forgotten. Like you kind of said, you come from one industry to this one, and then you get stuck into this one because, this student can only do this time, and oh, this person needs a test, and you're going to help this person. Now you're going to help this person. That you forget about that. So I think it's important, and this is why I'm really pleased with that blog, and I'm really pleased that you're doing this with the health stuff, because I think we need reminding sometimes. And so I think that's really good. But what are some of the big issues that you're finding with ADIs in terms of their health, both mentally and physically, I suppose?
I suppose the mobility side, you get out and you feel all achy, mainly because we're looking one way, usually. So, I have quite a lot of neck pain, lower back pain. So just some stretches between lessons is really good. Or, after work, I don't have to go anywhere to do these stretches. I can just do it in front of the TV. That's perfect for me. Um, or just breathing exercises. So I went through a stage without going into too much detail because nobody wants to know that, but I went through a stage of seeing a therapist. So she gave me some really, really useful tips on being at one with my breathing and just something so simple really, really helps. So literally between lessons, I'll just pull up 5 minutes early and I'll take just a few minutes to take some really good deep breaths and just be in that moment with myself and see how I feel and just acknowledge it. And I know it sounds very airy-fairy and I didn't really understand any of this when I was going to this therapist and didn't really believe in it. But like anything, you have to kind of be a bit open to it and try it before you knock it. And actually, it worked for me. So, go figure. So yes, I do think that's where people struggle. They just don't make the time, I guess, and they don't acknowledge things. So I could go a whole week, and by Friday, I'll be thinking, oh my God, I'm so stiff and sore. And actually, if I'd have acknowledged that on Monday night and done a few stretches, I probably wouldn't feel like that on Friday. So yeah,
You've almost done it yourself there in a way, because I'm going to say, do you think ADIs are dismissive of this stuff? Like you, it's almost you were then talking about it being airy fairy. And like, I'm on the same boat as you there. I do a lot of breathing work. I've done work with different people around this, and the impact it makes is or can be phenomenal at times. So do you think that we can be too quick to dismiss this stuff?
100%, 100%. Um, I didn't believe in therapy, and my mother-in-law's a therapist, so I mean, can you imagine how that went down? But and I still don't believe in some of it. It's just my own belief system. Some of it just does not work for me. But I kind of challenged myself to be a bit more open to the things that I felt like I could do. And those are the things that I can do. I can sit in a car and I can breathe and I can try and think about how I feel and what I'm feeling at that time, etc., etc. And that actually really, I was going to say opens my mind, but that's not the right phrase. Kind of frees it, I guess. And you feel a bit like the weight of the world is off, even though you haven't really done anything or talked about anything, it just feels better.
But I think the key aspect there is you just said that it's what's right for you, and not all aspects of therapy can be right for everyone. And I'll give my example. I have a bit of a life overhaul recently and moving and stuff like that, and I've really struggled with the basics of looking after myself, stuff like drinking water, getting out and getting my steps in. I've gone from doing 12 to 15,000 steps a day to doing two, and that's quite a shift. So. I'm just struggling to get it going, and I just came across this app, and I can't remember where, called Finch. And the idea is there's this cute little character on screen, and the way you look after the character is by looking after yourself. So you've got all these little self-care goals like drink water and stuff like that. But if you don't do it, the character on the screen gets poorly and will eventually die. It's like, oh, that can't happen. So now it's getting me back into this routine. So it's what works for individual. But I don't think I want to get too much deep into this because you're doing a lot of this elsewhere. But if you were to offer like one tip to ADIs now, and I realize that's quite a broad thing, but if there's one thing that you think this is where most people you think are struggling, or this is one thing people could action now, what might it be?
I think I would probably go with be accountable. So put something in your diary and make sure, because for me, I wouldn't cancel on a learner. So if I've put some time in for myself, why would I be then cancelling on me?
Yeah.
I'm just as important as those learners, if not more so. So yeah, that would be probably my biggest tip. Just be accountable. So like Total Drive is perfect, or other apps are perfect where other people can see it. So everybody in my drive up team can see my diary. So if I've got Charlie Jim in there, and then somebody says to me, "Oh, I noticed you were at the gym yesterday," and I go, "Oh, actually, I didn't go." I would feel really rubbish by saying that. So it makes me accountable. So I do things like that. But that would be my first tip because it's quite easy to do.
I think that's a great tip. I really do. I don't think it's something people do enough. It's almost like time blocking. Do you do that for everything, like for your health stuff, for your CPD, for stuff like that?
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
I'm quite organized. Are you?
I am, yes. Do you know what? I'm organized at the professional stuff. So this stuff is always in the diary. Very, very rare does anything go wrong like that. I'm not always the best doing it for myself. I used to be. I say things have gone a bit awry recently, but we're getting back on track. And that is helping. That time blocking, getting that back in is helping. So that's good. But the reason I didn't want to go too far down the road of you giving advice to instructors is because that's kind of what you're doing in this role anyway. So do you want to tell us a bit about what you're doing and what the NJC is doing in this health and well-being?
So, firstly, we're just trying to give people a really easy platform to navigate if they want some tips or they want some useful information. Like you said before, some people might know it, some people might not, or some people might know parts of stuff, and we might say something that think, "Oh, I actually didn't know that." Or, there's a lot of stuff out there available, but it's sometimes quite hard to find facts. There's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of misinformation. So it's just about being quite truthful and honest and without the risk of sounding like somebody off Love Island, but authentic. Um, I hate that word when they say it on there. Not that I watch it all the time, but but yeah, I just think it just needs to be authentic, raw. There's a lot of stuff now. Everybody has their own opinions on AI. And I do think we rely on that a little bit too much now. We don't really have to think about it. And I like to still have a thought process and I still like to research things. And I've been a bit of a scientific guinea pig over the years where I've done different diets and different ways of eating and different exercise and how that makes you feel. And I like to experiment and I like to find things out for myself. So all this stuff that's coming onto the website and the throughout our campaign for the health and wellbeing section, it's all going to be things that are from real people, not just me and Gary, but other members of the committee, other ADIs, PDIs. So it's really relatable. We're hopefully going to launch a big team challenge so that it is a community feel. Without going too much into that, it's just a bit like a kind of step counter thing where we'll all be involved in this big challenge. So we might walk from John O'Groats to Land's End as an example in however many weeks, and we do that as a collective and see if we can keep each other motivated basically. But it's just a good, nice little fun channel to be on. So yeah, and if there's anything people want to see or want us to do, then tell us because we only know what we know. And it's always good to get other people's perspectives.
You mentioned Love Island has damaged my mental health today, so thanks for that. No, so you've already got some stuff on YouTube. There's some videos over on there. So when I'm watching this now, go and check those out afterwards. But is the best place to find that going forward probably going to be the website?
I would have thought so, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is ADINJC.org.uk. Had to write that down. Yeah.
Great plug in there.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to touch on or get across today about the ADINJC or what you're doing with the health stuff or anything like that?
Um, Not necessarily. I just want to make it clear that we're not trying to preach to anybody. There's a lot of people that we are going to tap into that are health professionals, so like therapists, occupational therapists, and other people, the physios and things like that. So they'll be giving some useful tips. It won't all be just about the usual health and fitness stereotypical stuff. There will be some kind of different recipe things in there to make healthy swaps and just nice little things rather than it being a in your face, this is what you should be doing, which we're not those people. So yeah, just give it a watch, see if you like it.
You're providing the water. It's up to the horse whether it drinks it or not.
Oh, perfect analogy.
So, well, no, big thank you for joining us today. I really enjoyed finding a little bit more about you, a little bit about your thoughts on the NGC and what's coming up with the health stuff. And for anyone that's enjoyed this video, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and commenting. I'm sure that if you've got any questions for Charli, you can leave in the comments and we'll find a way for it to get back to you. But if you want to join the ADINJC, the best place is the website, adinjc.org.uk. But big thank you for joining us today, Charli.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Always.
Thank you.